Hello friends, I welcome you all to my channel Science Gurukul. This is Bhaskar Mishra and today we will be starting the very first episode of Topic Talk. So the topic which I have chose for today is the Obsever Effect, the uncertainty principle, very much famous by the name of Heisenberg's Uncertainty principle, and the relation between them, right? So let's start with the Obsever Effect. What exactly is Obsever Effect? If you understand it in the basic terms, it says that whenever you are studying a system, so to carry out the study, you have to necessarily bring out certain changes in the system which change the state of the system under study. So let us understand this thing with some examples. Suppose I have to study a non-luminous object. Okay, so let us assume I have to study some physical quantity x about that non-luminous object. First of all, what is required is that I need to locate that object, and to locate that object I need to illuminate it. I need to illuminate it by some other source, right? So that object was originally non-luminous, but when I illuminate it, what it is basically doing is it is reflecting that light. So it might appear to be a luminous object to me. It would have some apparent luminosity, right? So to carry out our experiment to study that particular physical quantity x, we can see that we had to necessarily bring out a change in the state of this non-luminous object, and that was in the form of apparent luminosity, right? Now let us take a second example, very famous and very much helpful to understand the Obsever Effect. It is Schrodinger's cat, right? So what exactly Schrodinger's cat is? So in this concept, what we do is we take a box, we put a cat in it, right? It is alive, and we put some radioactive substance in it. Now what is predicted is that within 1 hour the cat may die. There are high chances of cat dying that time, right? And it might be possible that the cat does not die, it remains alive after 1 hour. So what we do is we put the cat, we put the radioactive substance, and we close the box. So, and we leave it for 1 hour. Now during this 1 hour time, during this time span of our experiment, if I ask you whether the cat is alive or dead, what will be your answer? So you will be saying that the cat might be alive or dead, right? So basically it is in a state of superposition. And we can also say that the cat is alive as well as dead, right, during the time span when experiment is being conducted. Now I have to study whether the cat is alive or dead. Okay, I have to study whether the cat is alive or dead. For that I need to open the box, and when I open the box, why I am doing that? To study the system, right? And while I am opening the box, I have changed a property of this system. Initially that property stated that the cat was in a state of superposition, but as I open up the box, let us assume the cat comes out to be alive, right? Let us assume that the cat comes out to be alive. So now I am 100% sure. That the cat is alive. I have shifted to a permanent result instead of the state of superposition which was during that time span. So this is Schrodinger's cat. So when I interacted with the system, I somehow changed a property of system, any property of system, right? So let us take another example. Okay, let us take another example. Suppose we have to study the animal behavior, right? Some ecologists are there, they have to study, ethologists, and they have to study the animal behavior. So they go with a big team in a jungle. Now they depend for their food, for their survival. They are Bear Grylls type people, and they like adventure, so they depend on their food, on the prey population of the animal which they wanted to study. Okay, so basically what happened, they are somehow interfering in the niche of the animal they wanted to study. So the system they wanted to study, they have somehow affected it. They have somehow changed its behavior. In fact, the animal will become cautious and its behavior will obviously change. So here again you can see an example of Obsever Effect. Now let us see that what exactly is uncertainty principle and how are these both things related to each other. So what uncertainty principle says, what it does exactly is that when you are studying a quantum object, the first point is when you are studying a quantum object, and you are taking two physical quantities in consideration, right? In this case, what uncertainty principle does is that it sets a fundamental limit to the standard deviation in the values of both the physical quantities. Let us take a very famous example, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which is generally studied by the example of delta x and delta p, that is the standard deviation in position of the object and standard deviation in the momentum of the object, right? So what the uncertainty principle states in this case is that the product of the standard deviation in position and the standard deviation in momentum of the object must be greater than or equal to h upon 4 pi, where h is Planck's constant. Okay. So what it has done basically is that it has stated when you are taking these two quantities in consideration, that time the standard deviation, the error in them while measuring, the product of that error can have a minimum value of h upon 4 pi. They have set a fundamental limit. You can't be 100% accurate while measuring those both properties. So if you see in simple terms what Heisenberg has basically done, he took all the physical quantities which are studied for a quantum object, and he placed them in two columns, column A and column B. How? He took two quantities, one in column A, another in column B, and they are written besides each other. Okay. So when you want to study a physical quantity from column A quite accurately, quite precisely, at the same moment of time, you can't study this quantity which is in column B besides the desired quantity 100% accurately. If you want to study this 100% accurately, you can't study this also 100% accurately at the same time. There will be some standard deviation in this. If the delta of this quantity is 0, the delta of this quantity has to be infinity. It has to tend to infinity, right? So this is what Heisenberg's uncertainty principle says. So what is the difference between both the things is that observer effect, it will appear by nature whenever you are conducting a study on any system, and it will show that you have brought a change because you are studying the system. You have brought a change in the state of that system. And what Heisenberg's uncertainty principle does is that it sets a fundamental limit to the standard deviations. It sets a fundamental limit also to the accuracy of the two physical quantities which you are measuring. So this is how these both things, observer effect and the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, are related, and the difference also has been enlisted. So let's meet in the next topic talk, guys, and suggest me the topics whichever you want. And if you find this video to be helpful, do like it, do share it with your colleagues, and subscribe my channel Science Gurukul. Let's meet in the next episode. Jai Hind.